Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of And Now You Know with Betty and Julz. I'm Betty.
And I'm Julz.
And Happy New Year.
Happy 2026.
It is 2026. This is officially our first episode of the new year.
Yeah, our first recording.
Our first recording. That's what I mean. Our first recording. And we have a lot to say.
We do. We want to make this episode about our words. You know how everybody has gotten on this kick of picking a word for the year. But before we do that, I want to recap what has happened.
What has happened? We haven't seen each other in probably 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
3 weeks. A lot has happened.
Let
me adjust myself. A lot has happened over the last 3 weeks. Well, we had the holidays, of course. So we had, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, which we didn't record at all. And we didn't see each other at all that week. And then after that, we had New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And I went on a very last minute trip, which was amazing, to Puerto Rico. I spent New Year's Eve, and I'm going to give a shout out to my sister Nora, and then also I'm going to call her my sister from another mister. She's like a soul sister, not blood related, but a really amazing friend of mine. Her name is Natalie, and we spent that time in Puerto Rico. So it was amazing. It was
And
great.
Betty had more fun than I did.
Well, let me tell you how much fun I had. I had so much fun that I was laying on the beach and it was like 85 degrees in Puerto Rico while it was like 37 degrees in Dallas, and my face is peeling because I was out in the sun and I never.
Yeah, but it got
never wear
really.
sunscreen.
We had one of the warmest Christmases
It did.
in the
It got warmer.
history of Texas.
Yeah.
And it was lovely. But I tend to be the kind who I want the cold weather to match the season that I'm in. So I was a little bit sad. I don't count on a white Christmas here in Texas, but
Have we ever had one?
I do want to drink red wine and have the fire burning and just have the cozy vibe of it all.
Yeah.
But let me tell y'all what I did instead.
Oh, she had something even more fun come up.
If I look like a chipmunk today, it's because while Betty was in Puerto Rico, I was having oral surgery because on
I feel really
Christmas
bad.
Eve day, I was cooking my big spread. We talked about how much I cook on a previous episode.
Oh, yeah.
And I
All
love to
yummy
cook.
things.
I was in my happy place. Jay had gone to the store. I sent him to the store multiple times on these holidays because I tend to forget things. While he was gone, I have a little cute, very vintage. My mom and dad got this glass container with a lid on it in 1958 for a wedding gift. So it's a prize thing. But I love nuts. I love cashews, pistachios. I hadn't eaten anything all day because I was cooking. Grab a couple of cashews, pop it in my mouth, chomp down, and a pop in my mouth. I shattered a tooth right here. And I thought I was going to pass out. I started sweating.
Well, if those of you who have ever had any kind of oral surgery, toothache, root canals, whatever, cavities, like tooth pain.
That
is
nerve pain?
Yes, the nerve pain.
I've decided
It is
29 hours of labor is
horrible.
better than what I went through.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
But
after what I just went through?
Yeah.
The bad part about it is that dentists' offices are closed.
Yeah, that part, because they normally take the whole week off.
They were closed. Well, I tried to call my dentist that day. They were already closed, and they weren't opening until Monday. That was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I had to wait Wednesday until Monday to get a hold of my dentist. I guess I could have gone to like a doc in a box, but I didn't really want to do that.
I would never do that.
So I just had to handle it very gingerly. I had to surrender to the pain. That's my word for the year is surrender.
We'll get into that in a second.
And this situation confirmed that. So I had to wait, finally get into my dentist, and the pain is radiating back here. I don't even know which tooth is injured.
Oh, poor Julz.
So
That's terrible.
He starts gently tapping on my teeth, and he got to the demon in my mouth. That's what I named it, the demon. And I went to the moon. He was like, well, we know which tooth it is.
Isn't there another way for them to identify that rather than?
he did.
I remember them doing that to me, and I swear,
Oh my God.
I swear, I love it.
I did too. I screamed. I think everybody in the dental office heard me. I think they thought that my doctor was killing me. He had done x-rays. We had done everything. And You could not see the crack in my tooth. Well, then
How could they not see it?
it was the way it was running.
Oh,
It
gotcha.
wasn't, it was running a weird way. And so then he shines a light on it and he's like, yep, it is cracked completely in half. And the way he could see it, a light went through part of my tooth and then the other part of it was dark because the crack was so substantial that the light wasn't going through. And then he told me, he said, I've got to get you in to see an oral surgeon. I can't do this. Well, then they were closed and I had to wait 10 more days.
This is horrible. Okay, for the dental community out there, please tell us there's a better way. Please tell us. Let us know. Send us an email. Put it down in the comment box below. There has to be a better way for anybody going through that kind of situation. You shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks.
There were
Oh my
were
gosh.
other options, but my dentist, I absolutely love my dentist. Shout out to Dr. Scott. And he told me about this surgeon, and he said if this was my wife or my family member, this is the only person with what I'm seeing going on. And then he explained to me that my sinus wall is low, and in order to get an implant, they're going to have to raise my sinus wall.
That's all Greek to me. I have no
I was
idea.
like, I'm not doing that. But guess what? I am doing that. I got the tooth pulled, so if I look a little bit like a chipmunk today, it's really swollen. This is 48 hours post-surgery.
Yeah, she's a trooper right now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my
Are you on
word,
some good drugs right now?
I don't do drugs. I
know, I
do
know.
just over the counter. They offered it to me, but I don't.
Yeah.
We
don't do drugs.
I surrender to the pain. Anyway, I'm ice packing, lots of Motrin, on an antibiotic. I have gained 3 pounds in 48 hours because all I've been eating is Frosties from Wendy's and banana pudding. So today I can
From where?
actually Wendy's and Buc-ee's.
Oh, I was going to say Buc-ee's. They have really good banana pudding.
Oh my God. Jay bought me a huge one and I ate the whole thing.
Okay, shout out to Buc-ee's. We want you to be our sponsor.
Yes.
But seriously, if you're ever in Texas, because I mean, Buc-ee's is a whole destination on its own.
It is.
So if you're ever in Texas, she has one by her.
I have the best one.
Hers is better than mine. Hers is like double the size of mine, and she has an amazing car wash. I think we've said that before.
Yeah.
But
it's like an amusement park.
It is. It is.
really
You
is.
have to go to Buc-ee's. When I have had friends visit from the Northeast or from wherever else, we take everybody to Buc-ee's.
Well, and you've got to get either their brisket sandwich or the turkey sandwich, and they have homemade potato chips.
Yeah.
And then, not that I'm ever going to eat another nut in my whole entire life, but they do have these delicious
They do.
candied
Oh, they're
nuts.
really good.
But I'm terrified of cashews.
And they have this whole fudge counter. It is ridiculous.
Well,
with like
and then
80 flavors of
they've
fudge.
got a frozen department, and you can buy like quail that's wrapped in
Oh, I didn't know
bacon
that.
with jalapenos, and they've got a whole beef jerky section, and then they've got beaver nuggets.
Okay, enough with Buc-ee's because they're not sponsoring us
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
not, but it is a destination if you come
is
to
a
Texas. It is. It is always packed. Just go with the flow in the crowd.
Yep.
Incredible gift. You could do your Christmas shopping there. So.
I mean, you really could. Seriously,
Anyway.
you could. Okay, let's now move on into the actual
Happy New Year.
episode. Happy New Year, everybody! We have some enormous plans for 2026.
so excited.
I almost said 2025, but we have enormous plans for 2026. We're really, really excited. By the time this episode airs, I think we are. I think this is our 45th episode, actually.
Yeah.
So it will be our 45th episode. We're getting very, very close to our 1 year mark. And during I will say it now, since it's the new year. During our 1 year episode. 1 year anniversary episode, we will be sharing some news.
Yep.
So it'll be really exciting. So that will be episode 52. So stay tuned. Stay with us. Everybody that has been listening to us for the last 45 episodes, we greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And continue to share the podcast. And if you haven't watched them all, go ahead and take an opportunity to go ahead and do that before we start on our second year. So
I agree.
okay, so today's episode, we're going to talk about the word of the year. So I wanted you to start on it because you did like a workshop about it, right? Like where you came up with your word.
I'm in a networking group at my church. It's called Kingdom Business Leaders Fellowship. And we had our last meeting of the year, and they gave us an exercise at each table for us to come up with a word of the year. My word was different. God led me to the word that is my word of the year, and it's been something that Betty and I have talked a lot about, but I know without hesitation that my word is surrender. I feel like I kind of force things, and that has gotten me into some trouble.
Guilty.
I mean, maybe not trouble, but maybe going down a path of unhappiness and knowing in my gut, which we've talked about that a lot too, that it wasn't what was bringing me peace, love, and joy. And that's another thing I've talked about. My kids always ask me on birthdays, Mother's Days, Christmas, what do you want for Christmas, birthday, blah, blah. And I always say I want peace, love, and joy. And I do have a lot of plaques, and I've got little water pitchers and all kinds of things that say peace, love, and joy. But my word surrender encompasses peace, love, and joy. Because if I surrender to it, then I have my peace, love, and joy. And I was not gently reminded about surrender with this tooth situation. Like legit, it was ridiculous. My tooth, when my doctor got in there to take it out, she said that she didn't know how I had that for 2 weeks, because she got in there and literally when she touched it, half of my tooth fell out. And she said, if that had come out, my dentist had told me, don't brush on this side. Just gently brush on this side. And she said, I know now why, because that would have fallen out and then the nerve would have been completely.
Oh my God.
So I surrendered, and I had maintained my weight until I got the tooth pulled. And then I dove into the Frosties and banana pudding.
Hey, well deserved.
But
you earned it.
But it's okay. I'm back on the low carb protein diet today, and it'll be good. But the word surrender really induces all kinds of peace inside of me. And I believe that surrendering means discernment as well. And you've got to be very diligent in paying attention to what the universe or your God, your higher power is. You've got to be still, and you've got to listen. And there's so much chatter out there, people telling you can't do that, or that's never going to work. Or, I just was having a conversation with a gal that we've known, for about 8 years now, 7 or 8 years. And she's a beautiful single girl, just so, such a free spirit.
Oh, total free spirit.
Love her spirit.
Yeah.
And she's being told that she is not going to find the perfect man in her life. And I completely disagree with that, because I have, even after 4 failed marriages. But you've got to surrender to the process and be diligent and be still and pray for discernment and guidance. And anyway.
Well, I think it applies to every area of your life. And I will tell you why I love her word so much, because it's something that we have regularly practiced. And, coming from both of us, I for sure used to be such a workaholic, such a control freak. I wanted to force things to happen my way. Yep. And I just remember having so many experiences, and I've said this before on different episodes, but that word is so great, because if you actually think, it's funny. There's a quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but there's a quote that says, when you're out there making your plans, thinking everything is going to go according to plan, God is kind of laughing at you.
Yes.
Because it's not going to happen that way. Now, of course, be responsible, have a plan, have a goal, and be walking in a direction towards something. Yeah. But the reason why I love that word so much is because it reminds you to be still for a minute. Be still. And before you make any decisions, I used to make such impulsive decisions without actually feeling your way through it.
And praying about it.
Yes.
And
surrendering. If you do,
yes.
if you actually wait for a minute and think about it, sleep on it if you have to. If you actually think about it and give yourself the time to be still, you will save yourself a lot of trouble and a lot of heartache. Oh. And surrendering also means, to me, I'm using your word, surrendering to me also means to cut out all the distractions.
You have to.
Sometimes people think that they're getting a lot done because they're busy all the time, but they're busy doing nothing.
Yep.
And it's not bringing you closer to what you actually, where you want to be, who you want to be, all that kind of stuff. So I think for me, surrendering actually means allowing yourself to be still and only make intentional moves. That's a really good word, really good, powerful word for 2026 for people.
I've used that word before.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I did it.
Intentional.
I don't think I did it. I don't think I fully grasped the concept of having a word of the year. And this particular holiday season literally brought me to my knees. And I just shared almost a completely finished little book that I wrote several years
Coming soon.
ago. Oh, and I'm so excited about it. But instead of wallowing in self-pity over my tooth, I chose to surrender to it and to busy myself with, I believe, is one of my assignments in finishing this book. And I finished my illustrations, and tell them how beautiful they are, Betty.
Okay, it's so beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to say two things because you just made me think. So number one, now you have to be grateful for the toothache.
I am.
Now you have to be
I
grateful
am.
for the entire process because it made her sit still and it actually made her finish something
Yep.
that she should have finished a long time ago. But right now it's not about the shoulda, woulda, coulda in the
No.
past. It is about the fact that this time was carved out.
It was.
And it made you do it.
It made me do something that
I think that's really awesome.
It's I'm working on two books right now. One is a children's book, and one is a book that kind of correlates with this whole podcast and all of that. And you know what creates some of the dysfunction that we have in our own lives from childhood trauma, and then the healing journey and how to get to know yourself.
Right.
And I have been stuck on this one part of this big book that I'm writing. It's an adult book. It's not a children's book. And I also finished that part, and I read that to Betty this morning, and I made her cry.
Okay, so it's true. She made me cry. So
I didn't mean to make her cry, but
well, I mean, honestly, when everybody reads this book, how do you not cry? I mean, I want to hear if anybody did get moved to the point of tears when you guys read this or hear it, because it really, I mean, I think that's so awesome. In a matter of 2 weeks, she actually got two major things done. So I think that's a really great thing. The other thing I was going to say, going back to the whole surrender thing.
all from
and
cracking my tooth.
All from cracking the tooth and then having to surrender.
Yep.
Because you had no other choice.
I had to
but
surrender, and I needed to get my mind off of this because I knew I had to wait until the day before yesterday before there was resolution.
But here's the lesson for everybody. You have choices in life.
Yep.
And you can choose to surrender on the front end
Yep.
before you get to a place where you're brought to your knees and have to surrender the hard
Yeah,
way.
and-
You can choose to surrender. I feel like, I mean, I've already been knocked to my knees a couple times in my life.
I think
now I
it's just-
surrender voluntarily.
I don't, apparently. I had to be brought to my knees again. I do. I thought I was. I mean, there are lanes in my life I absolutely surrender.
No, that's true. There are lanes that you do for sure.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a quote, and this was actually from an acceptance speech that this guy. I don't know him. I just remember hearing it, but I wanted at least to give him credit. I want to say it was like an award ceremony where he said this quote, but what he was saying was, this goes right back to surrender, is the fastest way to get there is slowly.
It's the truth.
And it's so funny because I have another friend who constantly says haste makes waste.
Oh, yeah. My
And it's
grandma
like-
used to say that.
Yeah. And when you're in such a rush, I used to be in such a rush to get all this stuff done. And I made so many mistakes in my life that created unnecessary pain, unnecessary anxiety, unnecessary chaos. It was not necessary, but it was because I was in such a rush to get things done, and I wasn't intentional, and I didn't surrender, and I didn't really think through the plan. And this is when we talk about foresight. So I love her word. I think it's awesome. You go ahead and finish with your word, because then I'll share mine.
I think that I'm done. I want to surrender to the assignment that I know I have been given in this life. And just today, while we were talking and going through, I'm surrendering to the fact that I'm a writer. My husband introduces me to people as being a writer. And
She is a writer.
I love-
She's been a writer for decades.
Yeah.
I don't know when you forgot that, though.
I
you
don't
have
either.
been.
Oh, well, I think it was probably during number 4 because a lot of my creamy goodness got sucked out of me during that time.
But that makes sense. I get that.
Yeah.
I can understand.
And then I met Jay and I started writing. I started out writing music. I'm a musician. I'm a classically trained vocalist. My sister is a concert pianist. So music, and my dad was a songwriter, and he played the piano and the guitar, and he was an artist. He was just very creative and joyful and a wonderful soul. And so my dad died when I was 14. At 16, I started my first song, but I wasn't able to finish it until after the birth of my first son. So that was 6 years later when I finished that song. But then when I did marry number 4, I collaborated with an incredible guitarist. He played with George Strait and Pat Green, and just an amazing songwriter. And we recorded some things. But he looked at my 4th husband and he said, "Don't let her get too happy, because if she gets too happy, she won't be able to write." Because music is a lot of stories. Well, he certainly did not keep me happy, that's for sure. But I didn't write until I got out of it. And then I started writing again, and it's fun. And Jay and I have gone into the studio and recorded a couple of songs. And I'd love to upload those at some point in my life and let y'all hear them, because my songs tell stories.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool.
And what I think is so cool about the process, the journey that really we're all on, but I hear it so much from you, and it happened to me too. When you think about being in a relationship that kind of just sucks the life out of you, you lose parts of yourself. You do. But the journey, I believe, that we're on now is to get back to you.
Yep.
And it's all the things that you were, all of the ambitions, all the creativity, all the exciting things that lit you up, that you thought about as a child, that you thought about as a teenager, that you want to accomplish in life. I think that after you hit the bumpy road and after you get knocked down to your knees a couple times, after that, it takes a tremendous amount of courage and resilience to get back up again and to have faith and determination to keep moving forward. Yeah. And that's where you are, right? And you're bringing all this stuff back up, and it's who you were always supposed to be. You just took a little detour.
I didn't surrender to it.
Right.
But I don't know that I knew that I needed to surrender to it. I think that I thought I was, but I wasn't. But, you get busy in your marriages and in your
life,
child rearing, and baseball, and in my life it was baseball and car racing and therapy sessions for my son with special needs. And so you're so busy that you're surrendering to those things that you have to do in your life. But it's cool whenever you give yourself a chance to know you. And when you find those things that do light you up and they make you excited, even when you've got a demon in your mouth that needs to be pulled out, and you're so excited that you forget to eat, and you start working and focusing on those things, and you just can't wait to share it. That's when you've surrendered and you're on your path.
That's the thing to lean into more. Yep. Okay, now I'm going to share my word, because actually my word goes along with hers. It really does. And my word is separate from hers, but they really do tie together.
Yeah.
They do. And my word is allow. And the thing that you just said, why it ties so perfectly in with allowing, is because I believe it's two different things. I believe that you need to allow, right? So surrender to, you need to allow life to unfold for you and pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening to you, but also ask, ask and it is given, right? So ask for things that, ask for clarity, ask for guidance. I'm not saying ask for material things.
No.
I am asking God for guidance.
Yep.
I'm asking God for clarity.
Discernment.
I'm asking, yes. And
that's Jay's word.
Yeah. That's right. That's Jay's word. And I want to allow things to unfold in a really beautiful, authentic, organic way.
All the other stuff will come.
Yes, because everything will come. And I totally believe this. What is meant for you you'll never miss it.
Nope.
You'll never miss it if you're paying attention and you are just allowing it to come to you.
But
so
if
that's
you
number
try
one.
to force it.
Yep, absolutely. If you try to force it, you're actually keeping it away from you longer.
Yep.
That's what I learned. I have learned that many times over, and I'm I'm ready to surrender that.
Yeah.
I'm done with it. So
Yes.
allowing things to come to you, that's part one of my allow word.
Yep.
The second part is to allow myself, give myself permission to just be me.
Yep.
And just allow yourself to
Because you're perfect.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm perfect. I'm pretty damn awesome, but I wouldn't say I'm perfect.
She's awesome.
But I do think that if you just allow yourself unapologetically, just be you. And when something lights you up and when you're super excited about something, lean into it and trust in yourself and believe in yourself. And when you have all of those, the feeling and the energy and all of the excitement, if you can do something and lose track of time and you're just so thrilled about it and you just want to talk more about it and you're just going a million miles a minute and you're doing all that stuff, that passion, that excitement, all of that is there for a reason. And your body is like telling you and showing you, like, lean in more, allow more. So I do think that you have to discern is a really good word here, because you have to discern the difference of when you should allow yourself to lean in more and when you should realize that maybe that's not for me and I need to take a step back.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are all really good words. You are welcome to borrow any one of our words.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had intentional, I've had deliberate, I've had
courage is another good one.
Courage. Dream big, you know, just there's some, but this one is really, I don't know. It is resonating like a word never has, and it is creating a freedom in me. And all my life, I have been a dreamer, and I don't ever want to. I want to surrender to my dreams. I don't believe that God puts something in a desire inside of us without us being able to do it. The part that you have to surrender to, though, is that you've got to be willing to believe in the things that you can't see. And all you've got to do is your part and not worry about the part that you can't do, because God's going to do that for you.
Exactly.
I have a very lovely friend that I've made at church. She's 88 years old and the most precious being. And she's been praying for me over this tooth thing. And she gave me an amaryllis bulb. And I felt for certain that it was not going to do anything, because I don't understand how you can take a bowl of dirt and have that thing is like this tall now, and it's got these big, massive flowers. I have no idea. All I did was read the instructions and I watered it. I did my part and God did the rest.
Yeah.
And it is just such a huge example in my life right now that all I have to do is my part, and the part that I can't do, God's going to do.
Yeah. This is exactly like surrendering and not worrying about the how.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I'm guilty of this too, where you are constantly fixated on the how's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? How's it going to do? All this other stuff.
I'm going to cram it. I'm going to cram it. I'm going to make it happen.
Yes. And then you're trying to figure out all this stuff. That's not your part.
Nope.
That's not your part. Your part is to stay focused on what it is. What is the goal? What is it that you want? What is the desire that you actually had to begin with?
We make it too hard.
Yes, we overthink. And I'm an overthinker, so I totally get this. But it's just do your part. And part of your part, the biggest part of your part, is to surrender and not worry about the how.
And allow it.
And allow it to happen.
Yep.
Yes, allow things to fall right into place, and it will come to you when it's supposed to.
And it does. Yeah. It's fascinating, and just enjoy that journey.
Yep.
And it's hard. I know that it's hard. But once you get to it and you understand it better, it's not hard.
Well, you know what I find myself saying all the time, and I got it from her, is, I trust you. I trust you. I trust the process. I trust the plan. And for me, divine timing and divine guidance. When I find myself feeling anxious, and I'm not perfect, so you have to, this is a forever practice, I believe. You have to continuously remind yourself, I trust the process, I trust the process. Do your part. I believe in divine guidance. I believe in divine timing. If it's not here right now, like I want it to be, it's okay. Yep. And if it doesn't come, that means something better is coming.
Always.
And it is okay. If I think back to anything that has ever happened in my life, if something didn't go my way, I understood why it didn't go my way after, and I was so grateful that it
Always.
didn't, and something better happened.
Yeah,
So
it's so
again,
interesting.
surrender, again, allow.
Yeah, I saw a post, and I want to be so respectful regarding this. It was regarding when we were remembering 9/11, and I lived through that, and I remember the day. But there was a post, and it was showing the people who had survived 9/11 that were supposed to be in the building, and one guy was running late because he got caught in a traffic jam. Another stopped to get coffee, and somebody ran into her and spilled it, and she had to go home and change. And they were all, at that moment in time, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. That is divine intervention.
Totally
and
divine
so
intervention.
I'm just trying now in my life to, if I'm running late or whatever, it's a phone call. It's like, hey, Betty, I'm going to be 15 minutes late. I had this go on, but it's divine, and it's. I feel like it's protecting me from something. Always.
Yep. That happened to me. I had my flight, not this most recent one to Puerto Rico. Actually, let me tell you a story about that, because that's not the story I was going to say right now, but you just reminded me.
Yeah.
You just reminded me. So I took a different trip earlier. It was the middle of 2025, and I was meeting my sister. I was meeting her in Boston, so I took a flight from Dallas to Boston, and then we took a flight from Boston together to Portugal, and that's when we went to Portugal and Spain and did all that, And my flight, literally, I had just checked in. And I hate passing luggage. What is that called? Checking luggage in.
Yeah.
I hate checking luggage in because you never know what's going to happen.
You don't know if it's going to make it or not.
Right. But on this particular trip, I went ahead and I said, I'm going to do it. So I check my luggage in. I go through security, right? Whatever that's called.
Yeah,
security. Security. I go through security. I go through the x-ray machine, blah, 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 blah.
No.
I get to the other side. I look at my phone, and at that moment, my flight was canceled. That has never happened to me in my entire life.
And it's the first time you checked your baggage.
And it's not the first time, but it was like
the first time in a long time.
the first time in a long time, because I hate doing it.
I don't like it either.
Yeah. So
I don't do it.
So, and I sat there, and, I remember this feeling come over me. And in a moment, I was like, and then I thought to myself,
No.
okay, well, I would rather the flight get canceled than be on that plane and something go wrong.
Yep.
So then I just started thinking about, I don't know what the situation was. I don't know what happened. Now
It's all in your head.
I do not, when flights are delayed, when flights are canceled, when all this stuff happens, whatever, I just remind myself of what the alternative might have been or could have been,
Yep.
and I was protected by something. Redirection is God's protection.
That's right.
I will live by that.
I believe
Redirection
it.
is God's protection.
Yep.
So I was totally fine. I ended up going to the American Airlines counter, and they put me on a different flight. I made it no problem.
Did your luggage?
My luggage, yes, it ended up on. It got to Boston before I did, but it was there when
Nice.
It was totally
Yeah.
fine. Nothing happened, so it worked out just fine. But what the big thing that I was gonna say, that's even a bigger deal, I feel like, that just happened. I was just in Puerto Rico, as you all know, and there was a very political situation. I'm not going to get into it, but there was a very political situation.
Not about Bad Bunny, is it?
No.
Okay,
The
good.
political situation of like Venezuela and the U.S.
Oh
and-
my God, my sister was so worried about you.
Okay, so here's the thing. I am laying on the beach, and I get a call from my sister.
Oh,
And she's
Lord.
like, I just want to tell you that something just happened. The airports have been shut down, and no word on when they're going to reopen.
How far is Venezuela from Puerto Rico?
Well, the problem was that there was a threat of retaliation to Puerto Rico.
Oh.
Which is why they shut down the airspace and the airport and all this stuff, and it was a little chaotic, and 300 flights got canceled that day. But let me tell you what my perspective was.
I get to stay longer.
Now, so sorry for everybody else that was,
Oh,
at the airport and went
absolutely.
through all that. So sorry about that. I'm not
sorry.
making light of it. But for me, I know that at that moment, I had such peace. And for me, my flight wasn't canceled. I wasn't due to leave there for 4 more days anyway.
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried because I'm laying on the beach and I'm living it up right now. I'm experiencing my favorite thing ever, which is laying out with my toes in the sand and the sun on me. So
While I was getting a tooth pulled.
well, yeah, sorry. Sorry, Julz. But at that moment, I decided, now I have the information. I'm glad my sister called me and told me. And then after I got off the phone with my sister, my cousin called me, and she had just left Puerto Rico, but her kids were still there.
Oh.
Well, they were a part of the group that got their flights canceled.
Oh.
And so they got stuck there. So it was this whole thing. And so she said to me, I think that the airport is going to be shut down for like the next 5 or 7 days. And so for me, I said, well, I'm not affected unless it goes beyond the 4th day, which is the day I was supposed to leave. And I said, I'm not going to worry about it.
Nope. You can't do anything about it.
It doesn't matter. I can't do anything about it anyway. I feel like at that moment, after talking to my sister and talking to my cousin, I literally got off the phone and I went right back into my sun coma.
Yeah.
And I was so happy
my sister,
to be where I was. I wasn't worried at all. And I just thought
Yeah.
to myself, whatever happens will happen.
Yep.
And let me tell you, 4 days later, after I sat on the beach every day for 4 to 6 hours, after I had dinner, I mean, I had dinner at the most amazing places. I had the most amazing experience. I walked in the sun every day. I was doing nothing. That's what I was doing.
Eat, love, pray.
This was my Eat, Love, Pray year. That's how I was closing it out. Last year was my Eat, Pray, Love. Is it Eat, Pray, Love? Is that the right order?
Love, pray. I don't know what order.
Pray, Love. I think it's Eat, Pray, Love year.
Yeah.
Anyway, that whole year was dedicated to Eat, Pray, Love for me. And I decided to close out the year in Puerto Rico. And so I didn't want anything to ruin how amazing that year was, and why I was there in Puerto Rico I was filled with such gratitude, and I just wanted to celebrate the closing of one year and the start of a new with this whole new vibe and this whole new energy. And I sat there thinking, I'm not going to worry about it. And if the flight is delayed, and if I have to stay another extra day or two or whatever, I am okay with it.
There's a reason.
Because there is nothing I can do about it. Well, let me tell you, that's better for your health.
Yep.
That's better for your stress level. That's better for your heart. There is no reason. If you can't control it, there is nothing you can do. Why would you be in a tailspin about it? Why would you throw yourself in a tizzy?
I know.
This is surrender.
Yep.
This is allowing. This is just accepting what is.
Yep.
So anyway, I was in two situations, and I feel like I've been tested a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But I feel like those two that like jumped out as we're having this conversation, I feel like I passed those with flying colors.
Well, and she had another weird flight, very short. I didn't even understand why she was taking this
Oh,
flight.
the one to Austin.
Yeah.
I will never fly to Austin again.
It's only like a 3.5 hour. I didn't understand it, but I was like, okay, we'll do what you want. But it took her like 20 hours to
Yes,
get to Austin.
I could have. Okay, it is a 3.5 hour drive from where we are in Dallas to Austin. I was going down for a conference, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, the flights are like dirt cheap on this particular airline." I'm not gonna say their name because I don't want to bring them bad press. I actually like this airline.
Yeah.
But if you're from the South. This area, you know exactly what airline it is. Anyway, so I decided to go ahead and buy this ticket that was supposed to be so dirt cheap to save me all this time and energy, right? Well, it didn't, because I could have driven to Austin 3.5 hours. I could have had a 2-hour dinner, and then I could have driven back for 3.5 hours.
And then you could have driven back.
And then I could have driven back. That's how long it took me to freaking get to Austin.
She kept texting me like every 3 hours going, I'm still at the airport.
Here. I'm still here. And then we got all boarded. Now, let me tell you, this is funny when this happened.
Our timer did go off, just FYI.
Okay, I'll wrap this up real quick. So we get, when we finally got on the plane after a million delays, we get on the plane, we move away from the gate, we start rolling, and then the pilot gets on the thing. He gets on the, what is that called? The microphone. The intercom. And he says, well, folks,
sorry,
we have to go back to the gate. We have just been given another 3 or 4 hour delay. I started laughing. Now, people around me were not so happy, but I started laughing because I was like, whatever. At that point, it was so comical.
Yeah. It was like a Seinfeld
What do you
episode.
do? What do you do
Well,
at that
and then
point?
on the way home.
Oh, and then on the way home. Okay, so it happened again on the way home. On the way home, my sister and I took matters into our own hands. We ditched the airport. We literally left, and we hadn't checked in baggage. Thank God. We did not check in luggage. So we literally just took our stuff. We rented a car, and we drove to Dallas. And we made it to Dallas before the flight did. Yeah. So that's what happened on the way back.
Anyway, I don't think she'll ever buy tickets
I will
to Austin
never again.
No.
Never again, mark my words. I will never again buy a plane ticket from Dallas to Austin.
Well, by the time you go to the
ridiculous.
airport, and you go through security, and then the flight, you are in Austin for like 3 hours already if
Yeah.
you just drive.
Yeah.
If you catch the time right, 35 between Dallas and
yeah.
Austin isn't great.
Well, sometimes it's nice to not have to think. You know,
Yeah,
when
it
you're
is.
driving on 35,
It
like
is.
you have to think.
You
have
do.
to
It's
manage
busy.
traffic.
There's a
and,
lot of
You know,
trucks.
depending on when you go, Friday night is horrible.
Yes.
Austin traffic, rush hour is absolutely
Oh,
dreadful.
it is.
So, you know, to like
Be able
lighten
to,
that.
Yeah.
That was, well, that was supposed to be the point.
You downloaded some movies, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah,
I
and you got
did.
to watch them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I got to watch them. So it all worked out.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was
You
fine.
just have to surrender and not get all knotted up because you're going to have a stroke if you do that.
Yep. And honestly, you know, just because we say that we now practice surrender, and just because we say that we love all this allowing and all that stuff, that doesn't mean you won't be tested.
Oh, I was tested. I don't like to be anesthetized, and I had to be put to sleep for this thing. I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And the doctor was so sweet. She was like, "Are you ready for your first margarita?" And then I was gone.
Yep.
Out. I remember they were asking me to tell them about my 2 grandsons. And I told them the boy's age, and that's the last thing I remember.
Yeah.
So
Like, seriously, if you ever have that issue, I mean, you know, you do have the option to stay
yeah,
awake.
yeah.
Hell no.
Don't stay awake.
Why would you stay awake?
Yeah, I just have some anxiety around it, but I surrendered to it. I did just fine, and I woke up, and then I had a wonderful nap that afternoon. I'm probably going to have to do that about 3 more times this year, but I'm not. I'm going to meditate on it and not let the fear grab a hold. I'm going to surrender to it.
Surrender to
because the doctor, she said, I've never had someone tell me that they wish I didn't sedate them.
There
So,
is no chance.
There's no reason. There's
Yeah. It wouldn't even be a second. I would never even say,
I've
hey,
had-
what would it be like if I didn't know it? No
Well,
way.
I've
No way.
had one pulled, I've had several pulled with no sedation, and the sedation made it a whole lot easier. So now you know.
No.
You know, with Bette and Julz.
Okay, on that note, we're done here.
We are.
On that note. Okay, if you would.
Shut your mouth.
That's inside joke.
It is.
Okay, so if you would, we are super excited and we thank you for spending a part of your day with us, and we would love to hear from you. So if you would want to, at the bottom there, put some feedback in there. If you want to ask us a question, if there's a topic that you want us to talk about, go ahead and put it there. We also have an email address if you would like to have a more, I guess, private conversation, and that is hello@bettyandjules.com, BETTE.
And JULZ.
And we are so excited for this year. Please stay with us. Please tell your friends about us and join us for the ride. It's going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you very soon on the next one.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.